Are you fed up with the corporate bullshit holding you back? Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the digital entrepreneur podcast, the ultimate launchpad for entrepreneurs ready to seize control and unleash their creative genius. Hosted by Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul. Each week, he's breaking the chains of conventional work with bold strategies, raw insights, and inspiring success stories from the digital entrepreneurs who took the risk and invested in themselves. This is your call to arms. Invest in yourself, break free from someone else's rules, and build the empire you deserve. Now let's dive headfirst into today's explosive episode.
Welcome back to another inspiring episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Phil Better, the Podcast Mogul. Today, we have a very special guest who is all about helping people break free from feeling stuck and rediscovering their passion. Whether you're working a job you hate, which we all kind of have done in the past, or have drifted away from your dreams, or have changed careers more times than you can count, our guest's mission is clear, crystal clear. She's here to help you build a life you love from the inside out through deep inner working paired with customized, aligned strategies. She empowers her clients to create lives filled with freedom, passion, and purpose. She works one-on-one with clients in transformative coaching sessions and also leads customized workshops, retreats, and webinars designed to bring lasting change. And this isn't just surface level coaching. Her approach is a high touch, offering consistent support to help her clients break through barriers and achieve their dreams with ease and confidence. Today, we'll hear about her passion for sustainable change, the emotional healing journey she guides her clients through, and how she helps people live their lives they're truly excited for. So please put your hands together for some incredible insight and actionable strategies from the amazing Brittni Cosgrove. Brittni, thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you. And we're going to start off with the first and major question that I always like to ask is, why? Why did you become an entrepreneur? Why did you throw off the shackles of the 9-to-5 and try and build your dream life?
You know, it's so funny because when I look back at it, it was never a plan. It was never something I was drawn to growing up, but I was extremely career motivated since I was little. I've always been an achiever. I've always had high ambition, and I've always had that go, go, go energy. And it was great. I've always been like that worker bee. I just love producing. I love creating. But for so long, it was always going towards other people, other creations, other businesses. And it led to burnout, and it led to just this frustration that I had so much momentum, but I never got to go in the direction I wanted to go. I never got to create what I wanted to create. And it was in 2020 that when the rest of the world shut down, so did my life. And all of a sudden I had more free time than I knew what to do with myself. And it was the first time in my known memory where I actually hit pause. And I took a moment. I said, what am I doing? Where am I going? What do I want? And that was the year that I started my first online business. And while the business itself was not my longtime passion, it did wake me up to being able to create for myself, being able to build for myself, and all the energy and everything I poured into it. I got to see the results of it. I got to display the results. It was for me. It was wonderful. And then, there's the added benefits of the be your own boss and, the different elements there. But really, it was this energy of I can create whatever I want and I can go as far as I want. It was so limitless. And so it was at the end of 2020, I was listening to this podcast that was for business owners and entrepreneurs. And I was in this phase where I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I knew I wanted to build up a business, but I wasn't sold on what I had started. And I didn't quite know. Again, I had the momentum and I didn't quite know the direction. And I was listening to this podcast that was from a life coach. And that was my first experience of what life coaching could be in its most genuine, transformative element. And how she was talking was about transforming from the root, not just treating the surface level, but really getting to the root of what the block is and healing it and transforming it from there to create that lasting and sustainable change. And so a few months later, I was enrolled into a year-long coaching certification program where I learned different elements and methodologies of life coaching and business coaching. And it was a very inside-out approach. The whole first half of the program, I was learning how to coach by coaching and being coached on. And it was so immensely healing and difficult and expansive and new, and all of it completely changed my life in the most profound way. And so ever since I went through that experience, I have known like coaching it's in my DNA. I by no means think that purpose is always related to career for most people, but it was something where from the moment I found this work, I've known to my core how powerful it is, how special it is, how just life-changing it can be. And it's been easy. I wouldn't say it's been easy since then, but it's been easy to never let go of that vision because it is so near and dear to me.
I love how 2020 was a transformative year for a lot of us entrepreneurs. Yes, it was changing of life as we know it, but a lot of entrepreneurs were able to take, like you said, hit pause and rediscover their joys. Because for 2020 it was my year of transformation as well. I had my burnout, was able to, take a moment and just realize I didn't want to be in the banking sector anymore. I wanted to be my own boss. And it gave us, like I started my own business, failed, found my mentor, went into what I'm doing now. But I love that we have similar paths. Life coaching has always been something that's been interesting because you see, we're probably around the same age. We grew up in the 90s watching those, family sitcoms, and there was always these jokes about having a life coach on it, and it was just some person who was just rambling off. Now, obviously, times have changed. How have you noticed the perception of people when you tell them that you're a life coach? What is their perception from you?
It's such a great question and so interesting because I actually notice so much of how they perceive me as a coach comes from my energy. So especially when I was a newer coach, I had a lot of prejudices against the coaching industry. I thought life coaching was very frou-frou, very fake, very Instagram highlight reel, and wasn't actually creating any change, wasn't actually helping people. Obviously now I feel completely different about that. But I had to work through a lot of my biases in my first year or two as a coach because I never wanted to be seen as fake, never wanted to be in that fraud ideas or anything like that. So it's really funny because when I was in my earlier coaching years, I had a lot more people that were skeptical about it. And it was funny because I was learning the verbiage of how do you communicate? What do I do? Like, oh, transformation. Like that's a buzzword now, but a few years ago, that was so woo-woo. And it was such an interesting experience. But as I've stepped into just owning how powerful this work is, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that not only has this work completely transformed my own life, but I see it every single day with the people I work with. So I know the power of it. The more I own that, the more it's like this energy just radiates out where people can just feel like, oh, she's operating differently. She's thinking differently. And there's way less skepticism. They're almost like, what is this magic tea you're drinking? Or like, what's going on here? And I think it's because I would argue everything, but especially things like coaching, it comes from that inside out approach. I can only take people as far as I go. I can only go as deep with clients as I'm willing to go within myself. And so when I step into that power on my own, people just naturally kind of accept that or just feel that change. And I will also say, there's the regional elements. When I spent some time in California, for example, where no one even blinks an eye when I say I'm a coach versus other areas where people are like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And so there's definitely still a full spectrum. But at the end of the day, I know like the biases I had coming into this profession helped me understand where people are coming from. It's just something that they haven't seen in reality, or haven't seen in authenticity, or haven't seen in alignment. You know, the coaching industry is very big and it's grown a ton in the last couple of years. And so it makes sense that people need to do their due diligence, and people are looking at a full spectrum of people. And I just allow them to have their experience as they're figuring out what works best for them, and kind of living in my element along the way.
I love that. I love how you gave us those two different points of views. When you were first starting, you still had all those biases that coaches were just, like you said, frou-frou kind of con artist type things, and you had to deal with that and go through it. Do you feel, as you were destroying those walls, those blocks, or there's negative connotations around life coaches and coaches in general, that the energy that you were giving out was attracting the right type of people for your business, for your coaching abilities, and pushing away those people who thought it was frou-frou and not too real?
Yeah, that's what I find now, is that the people that come into my world are so open to it. Most of them, maybe not most, but many of them have worked with coaches in the past, or have some experience of it, listen to coaching podcasts, just have more of an experience of the highlights of what it can bring. So I definitely think that it has changed, and I do think that part of that is the energy that I come from. Part of it is, when I was a younger coach, I was very defensive of this work. I was assuming everyone had the same biases, and I love my work and my business so much. So I always had those walls up. I was trying to protect it. And as I've kind of dismantled those walls and brought it down, and just kind of let my work go to whoever needs it, like, I know I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. That's part of the magic of the world. But the people that this work is meant to find, they're going to find the work. It's going to happen. And so I think being in that very open, allowing space allows that to be in the receiving mode too. So the people that are looking for that naturally come and find it.
I love that. That's great. Love this, have that, the energy actually dictating who's coming to see you, and keeping those who may not be the best client for you a little off in that arm's length period until they're ready to come in for a hug of Brittni's life coaching. I'm curious, with what you do, you obviously see a lot of different people coming in, and I'm wondering, what are the first steps you recommend for someone who's feeling trapped in their life and that they aren't excited about? Like, someone who is just like, I've nearly given up on life. I'm throwing Brittni my last $12, we'll say, to change, to see if it's worth continuing. How do you get them to be repassionate about life?
Great question. And part of it is just coming back to, what is your vision and what are your values? So there's kind of twofold. The values are important because we all have values that will change throughout life, but we all have a set of core values that are probably not going to change, or are going to change very minimally. And so if you know what your core values are, those top 3 to 5 values that you cannot live without, if you are living your life in alignment with those values, it's going to spark more inspiration and joy and alignment, and just feel better, even if the external circumstances don't change. So right now, that is something where everyone can go and start making that shift right now without anything externally shifting or changing. Go and identify, what are your top 3 to 5 values that are your core values that you would never, ever let go of. And then look into the different areas of your life. Maybe do a wheel of life chart, or just kind of rate the different areas of your life and get clear on where are those core values being expressed, and what areas of your life are they being expressed in, and what areas of your life are they lacking in. And then from there, looking at the areas of life where your core values are not being expressed, what is something that you can do right now, starting today, to just infuse those values more into that area of life. And so that's going to be something that's just going to start creating a shift internally that's going to feel better because you're going to start stepping into more alignment with your authentic self, who you are and how you want to run your life. And now the other side of it is getting crystal clear on your vision. And this isn't just your 5-year plan. This isn't just the vague general idea of where you're going. This is getting really clear on like granularly, what do you want life to look like? Who do you want to be surrounded by? How do you want to be feeling in your day-to-day? Claiming that, getting clear on it, really painting a picture that you can buy into. And as you're doing that, it's going to open up just different ideas of, like I said, like what you want to look like, almost like painting a picture, creating a movie, really getting a visual so that you can start noticing, like, what do I need to do to start moving in that direction? But if we don't know what it looks like, we don't necessarily know that we want to move forward towards it or the best way to move forward towards it. And we don't feel as powerful as a pole. But once you get your vision really clear, from there, start asking yourself, why do you want this? Why? What is your deep capital W why? And I do something with my clients, and I offer this all the time. Take your goal or your vision, and when you have that, ask yourself, why do I want this? And you're going to come up with like a 1 or 2 liner about why you want this vision. And then ask yourself again, why do I want that? Talking about your first answer. And you're going to get another 1 or 2 liner. And then ask yourself, why do I want that? And keep doing this up until at least 5 levels to get to your deep why, because this is going to be the North Star. This is what pulls you over everything else, because your vision might change. The direction that you want to go might change. But when you know your deep why, that's what will pull you forward. And that will help you pull forward when it's really rough, when it's challenging to take action, when the motivation isn't there. When you know your deep why, you can always come back to that. And that's going to breed an authentic, natural energy, even if it's just a little bit. There are some days where it's really hard to take action, and that's okay. But coming back to your why and coming back to your values is just going to help give you feedback on what you can do, what you can take dominion over before the external circumstances change.
Just gave us the biggest life-changing piece of advice right there. Yeah, just asking why. I love asking why. It's one of the reasons I started this podcast. I just have a thrive for knowledge. Never really returned it in on myself because I'm probably scared to get the answers. But I'm going to try this, Brittni. I'm going to write down my whys and see why I want those values, why those are my core, because it's very important to see if those core values really resonate with us. So I'm glad you helped us there with that piece of advice. But I kind of want to go on and talk a bit more about your experience, because obviously, dealing with so many people, you have seen common self-imposed limitations that people face when they're trying to live their passionate life. How do you help your clients or your customers, your clients, your mentorees, if you will, break down those common misconceptions or those barriers that they have about living their passionate life?
There's a handful of techniques that are my go-tos. So I would say mindset mastery, emotional mastery, and then subconscious rewiring are my top 3 go-tos. And then I also do a lot of like somatic work, which is body-based work. It's where you go, you follow the energy in the body, maybe breath work or just breathing into the energy. But when I'm first working with people, I primarily work with them on the mindset level and the subconscious level, because those are things that everyone has blocks on. And really, at the end of the day, the blocks that we have are going to show up across the board in different areas of our life, on different levels of our existence. So they're going to show up emotionally, they're going to show up mentally, but it just starts with starting somewhere. So when I'm working with someone and we start by identifying what their block is, usually they know the surface level of what it looks like. Maybe it's imposter syndrome, self-doubt, procrastination, kind of some of those pretty common. The surface level blocks are pretty common. They're universal. They show up a little bit differently from people, but in general, they're kind of rooted in the similar themes. Then from there, I want to get clear on what is underneath the hood on a deeper layer. Why is this block coming up? So I kind of look at the blocks as the plant, and I want to get to the root. And so based on, at the end of the day, my coaching is highly intuitive. So it's always going to be following the energy of that specific client. But generally how it often looks is we're going to take their limiting belief and we're going to question that. So for example, let's say I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head.
We'll use imposter syndrome.
Perfect. Yes. So
because a lot of people I know have imposter syndrome. So this is for them. This is specifically for them.
Yes. Oh, so good. So a lot of times when people are coming from imposter syndrome, they're looking at what others are doing and comparing themselves to other people's works, where other people are in their lives and businesses. And so I'm going to stop them and slow them down at that point and say, when you're looking at this peer of yours, can you know without a shadow of a doubt that they're not also facing struggles, that they're not also having to do their own work, that they haven't already done the work that you're doing now? Can you know without a shadow of doubt that they're not putting in twice as many hours as you? Or, there's other elements of that, but we start questioning the validity or the truth of their limiting belief. Because when we slow it down, there's one of two things that's going to happen. Either there's going to be no evidence for it outside of the mind, or there's going to be tangible feedback of skills that you can enhance. So when you can get really clear on owning what your truth is about your block. So taking this example of looking at someone else and comparing that, okay, I can't know what they're doing behind the scenes. I can't know what their day-to-day life looks like. I'm just seeing what they put on Instagram or whatever it is. And it starts to kind of create more spaciousness. Okay, so maybe they're doing it differently. Maybe they've had years more of experience, maybe X, Y, and Z. And it can start by, you start separating yourself from identifying with this block. Now, from there, there's still an energy around it. And I'm curious, when did this block first start showing up? Is it connected to something from childhood? Most people don't realize, but our subconscious is primarily developed in childhood, and it attaches to things that we understood as children without full context, or past experiences that we're afraid of recreating. And the subconscious is powerful. It's designed to protect. It's a little bit archaic sometimes. And so when you can get underneath the hood and be like, okay, so this block is showing up because when I was in first grade, I tried the monkey bars and I fell and I broke my arm, and it kind of created this belief okay, now so-and-so could do it perfectly first time around. They're automatically better than I am, or people are better than I am when I try. There's the stories that get created without us even realizing it. And then we're living from those set points. So it's kind of a long-winded answer.
I love it. Because I guaranteed someone who's listening, I know I did, someone who's listening took away a lot of stuff and realized, hey, maybe my limiting beliefs are just there's beliefs that aren't real. And they can start, going in on it and seeing and asking the why. From the previous question, why do I have this? Why is this actually helping me? And they can start deconstructing some of those limiting beliefs. And if they need help, obviously they can come see you, Brittni, and contact you. And we'll talk about how they can do that a bit later. I want to know, since you're still relatively a young coach in your coaching experience, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What are you looking to get done in 10 years?
That is such an interesting question. I love the in-person element. So I look forward to bringing more of that into my business, doing events and retreats and more immersive experiences with community focus and kind of growing in that direction. I also really enjoy leading groups. And so doing group works and creating community that way. Right now, I'm primarily working with people one-to-one, which I love. I love the deep dive. I love just going going in. So I think that will always be part of my business model because I just really, really love that element. And I don't know, from there, I think it's just following what's alive, following what's exciting. I'm quite, I pop all over the place. I love the move, being on the move, the nomadic life. And so I could see myself taking the business worldwide. I guess we'll just find out.
I love that. I love that uncertainty, yet certain that it's going to work out. I love it. With that said, what do you do to invest in yourself? What does a life coach do to make sure that they're always becoming the best version of themselves?
Yeah, I'm going to answer it twofold, the external version and the internal version. Externally, I am always working with my own coaches. And so I have found even as a coach, it's easy for me to coach myself and it's easy to step into bypassing. So I work with my own coaches and I usually have 2 to 4 coaches that I'm constantly working with, one for business, one for somatic work. So again, that's the body-based energy, dropping the story and just being in the body, and then the emotional mindset version. And so I am constantly challenging myself, seeing what else is there for me to look at, where else do I want to go within and outside, and working with them to keep finding my own limiting beliefs, to keep finding my own set points and patterns that I'm not aware of. And so that's really powerful because it's so important to have someone objectively watching you, supporting you, and cheering for you and loving on you and seeing the things that are really hard for me to see. So that's what I do externally. Internally, it's all about integration. It doesn't mean anything if we take in all this information and don't do anything with it. And so I have found, I always have a bunch of practices that I kind of keep in rotation, but the ones that I always stick by, because these are the ones that I feel the most ROI on internally, is every single morning, I have a gratitude journal. And so that's literally the first thing. As soon as I open my eyes, I write down at least 5 things that I'm grateful for. If I'm having a day where I'm not grateful for anything, life is, one of those days, I find 10 things I'm grateful for. Ooh. So that is, because it's there. It's always there. And if my mind is saying, nope, it's too hard to find it, we're going to go find extra. So that is, that's how I start my day. And then anytime I feel energy coming up, and now for me, it's around anxiety. I grew up with severe anxiety, and that was a huge part of my healing journey. When the anxiety comes back, the first thing I do is I pause everything that's going on, and I just meet that energy. I breathe into it. I pour love into myself. I really nourish myself in that moment, because I know the flip side of just pushing through it or powering through it is not supportive to me. It's not healing, and it's not how I want to be running my life. And so when that energy comes up, whether it's kind of in the heart center or maybe more in the stomach area, wherever that intense energy is, I just hit pause and I just breathing into my body, slowing it down, just kind of settling into that moment so that I can just create more spaciousness. Sometimes the energy moves on, sometimes it doesn't. Either way, it's okay. But I'm just taking that time to nourish myself in the meantime.
I like how you separate it into 2 parts, your internal and external, because we are 2 parts. We have the meat machine that we have here that we run with, and then we have that little 10 pounds of fat that's driving everything, that creates all the experiences. And we do need to go internal and look under the hood. I'm wondering, do you have a love for cars? Because you've said you've wanted to look under the hood quite a few times today. Do you look at people as cars, or do you have a passion for cars?
No, I guess that's just the metaphor of the day.
I love it.
I think, I don't know, maybe it's because right now I'm on a road trip. And so it's kind of one of those things where, the car can be running just fine. If something happens, you won't know what's wrong until maybe if it's a tire, you don't need to look under the hood. But
you still need to look under the hood just in case.
Sure. But sure. More about what's under the surface. What is there that we're not seeing? But no, I don't even know cars.
So I guess the road trip is playing a little tip, a little pressure on you, a little influencing you, if you will. And I love that. Brittni, we're coming to the end, which I hate because you are a fantastic guest, and we're definitely going to have you come back because I'm pretty sure there's at least a dozen deeper levels that we can go on to in this conversation, and I'm going to be more than happy to explore that. But because we're coming to the end, my last question, very personal question for me, as I explained to you before, and some of my audience may know, I have a nephew. I want to give him a big book of advice when he turns 10. So my question to you is, what advice you would give to your 10-year-old self?
I would say that it's going to sound a little cliche, but you will only ever find failure when you stop trying. The failure doesn't happen when the results don't happen. Failure doesn't happen when life changes up or timelines get delayed or anything like that. When you stop trying, when you give up, when you say, I'm done before you want to be done, that's the only Can we actually rewind this? I don't like how I'm phrasing it.
It's fine.
I don't like to focus on failure. I want to reframe it.
Yeah, we got that. I marked it down. We're good.
Okay. I would say that the biggest component, hold on. I'm so sorry.
You got this, Brittni. Don't worry.
I would say that you are the only person that can define your success and your failure. No one else, nothing else, not your results. What it will come down to is what you choose to define your success as and what you choose to define your failure as. And for example, I only say that I fail when I stop trying. So it doesn't matter if the results are delayed. It doesn't matter if the results look different. The only time I fail is when I give up on myself. And on the flip side, I find success anytime I keep going, anytime I come back to my mission, anytime that I pick myself up again. That's success.
I love it. Great definition of success and great advice for anybody, let alone a 10-year-old, to know that failure is only when you stop trying and you stop moving forward. I love that. So great. And I'm glad that you shared it, because I know there's people who are listening today that need to take that advice in and keep moving forward, because that's the only way we can become the best version and evolve. Brittni, I'm going to jump off stage here. I want you to let my audience know where they can connect with you, how they can work with you, or if you have anything special you want to give them out for listening to the podcast. So the show, the stage, sorry, not the show. The show was yours. The stage is now yours again. Please let them know.
Amazing. Well, hello, everyone. Come say hi to me over on Instagram. You can find me at Brittni.Cosgrove. You'll see on my screen name here, Brittni is a little different. It's BRITTNI.Cosgrove, COSGROVE. Come say hi. Come let me know your takeaways and what really resonated with you from this episode. And then additionally, in December, I am kicking off an end-of-year Radiant Living workshop, and I want you to be my guest. So tickets are on sale now, but I am gifting all listeners a ticket from this podcast. You can use the code INVEST and you will get your complimentary ticket to that event. So I hope to see you there, and I'm excited to support you and just help you step into this vision, help you step into the life you want. It's all up to you, and you've got this.
Oh my God. That's amazing. That's a huge offer, Brittni. A complimentary ticket to a major event like that. Definitely check out the show notes, guys, for that, because I'm probably going to be there too. But Brittni, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to having you back on, watching your journey grow and see your nomadic travels in the future. But yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. Can't wait for the next one.
The next one's going to be top. We're going to have a hard time topping this episode, but I think we can do it. We have this great energy, and Brittni, you're just fantastic. So thank you again for being here. To my audience, make sure you check out those show notes to get that complimentary ticket. Remember, the code is INVEST, but the link will be down there with the code. So you go ahead and click that. Make sure you follow Brittni on the social medias that are down there as well. I thank you for listening. Thank you again, Brittni, for being here. You were an amazing guest. And as always, to my audience, remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for joining us on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. The Podcast Mogul reminds you that your journey to freedom and success starts with one powerful move: investing in yourself. If today's episode sparked your fire, hit that follow button on Spotify and drop us a comment. Share your wins, your challenges, and what drives you to break free from the corporate grind. Remember, you're your best investment. Always invest in yourself, because your potential is limitless. Until next time, keep hustling and take control of your destiny.